Hi everyone, I'm Kathy from House of TOEFL. Today we're going to talk about some brainstorming techniques for question 1. I get this quite a bit in my lessons. Students really panic because they have only 15 seconds to prepare. And I admit that is not much time. So, what can you do to become a better brainstormer and prepare your 2 ideas that you are going to develop in that 15 seconds? And in this video, I'm going to go over a few suggestions of how you can do that. I will be speaking at a slightly faster pace than some English videos because after all, the TOEFL is for advanced English speakers. So be prepared to listen to someone who's speaking a little bit faster than some videos that are just for beginners or intermediate students. TOEFL students are normally advanced. Okay, so my first tip, please do not memorize things. So, as you may know, I have 11 years of TOEFL experience and I have seen it all. And many of my students think they can memorize an answer and that will be good enough to get them passed and get them whatever they need, the 24, the 26. This is not the case. TOEFL graders that work for the ETS can easily recognize memorized answers. I'll give you an example. I had a student who had this idea that she would always say, "My friend Karen and I enjoy spending time together. I have known her for 10 years. Okay, but that doesn't fit every question 1. What if they ask you whether or not children should own a cell phone? What if they ask you whether you prefer to work in a group when you have a project or work alone? How is it relevant to talk about a friendship? It isn't. And the ETS will recognize that and they will give you a low score. So I'm not here to tell you to memorize things. However, it is not a bad idea to have a couple of ideas that work overall for anything that are general that you can tailor. Now you have to tailor it, you have to change it to the question. The biggest 2 are time and money, because those are the most important assets we have, of course, as human beings, is our time and our money. So if you can fit time and money into the prompt, that's fine. Now I'm not suggesting that you say, because it saves time or because it wastes time. That's a very simple sentence to give as your first reason. You want to have a sophisticated sentence. So perhaps, let's say they ask you whether or not children should have cell phones. And you say that you do not think they should. Don't just say because it wastes children's time. Build that into a compound sentence. So, for example, you could say, I do not agree that children should have cell phones because it wastes time that the children could be using for something more productive, like studying or preparing for tests. Now you have a nice compound sentence and the grader can say, yep, this person can speak in complex sentences. That's a good thing. All right. And then you will raise the likelihood of your score going up. A few other ideas. Sometimes you could say something's educational. You could say something is efficient or it's inefficient. You could say something is effective or it's ineffective. But again, I want to stress, don't just say because it's ineffective. So let's say they ask you whether you like to study in a group or alone, and you want to say studying in a group is ineffective. Again, build that sentence, right? Studying in a group is ineffective because people get distracted and tend to talk about things that are tangential or irrelevant to the project we're doing. Then go into your example. Okay, another thing, build your vocabulary. A lot of students tell me, hey, I could answer this in my home language, but I can't do it in English. Well, what's lacking there? Vocabulary, right? Because if you can do it in your home language, that means that your brain has the tools and you're equipped to answer the question. What you're lacking is the vocabulary. So build that vocabulary. You can do that so many ways. There's so many resources. We're in 2021. There's so many websites for building your vocabulary that are totally free. You can watch movies, you can listen to podcasts, you can read books. There's no excuse for not having a vocabulary. It was a lot harder when I was young to learn vocabulary in another language. Now, with today's technology, it's really a piece of cake. In other words, it's very easy to learn new words. and keep a word journal and go over it. You need to use a word 7 times before you have it memorized. That's fine. Use it 7 times. Write it 7 times. Say it 7 times. Okay? Now, the next thing, you can visualize. Okay, so again, imagine they ask you, are video games good for children? And you want to say no. Picture in your head a child sitting there with the remote. What's going to happen? Okay, they're staring at the screen. So it could have a negative effect on their vision. And then you can build from there. Okay, so visualize it. Do you like to exercise indoors or outdoors? Picture yourself going on a hike. Picture quickly, what are the benefits? Okay, I'm breathing fresh air. I can feel the sunshine on my face. The terrain is varied. There's a lot of things you can do by visualizing these things. Now, coming up with examples. I always have to do this while I'm speaking because honestly, the examples, I never know what they're going to be. I do not have any examples memorized. So I say them while I'm speaking. One thing I find helpful is to create a family member. This family member does not have to exist. A great thing is nieces and nephews because they can be any age. I could have a nephew that's 2. I could have a niece that's 12. And I can fit the age to match the prompt. For example, well, if they ask about children playing video games, I'm not going to say I have a 2-year-old nephew who plays video games because a 2-year-old doesn't play video games. Instead, I will tailor it to maybe a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old. Now, by the way, while I'm on the subject, it's 10-year-old nephew, not 10 years old nephew. Because when you say 10-year-old and then a noun, that 10-year-old or 11-year-old is part of an adjective. So adjectives are not plural. However, you can say, my niece is 7 years old. So I just want to go over that. I know that's grammar. That's not what this video is about, but I hear it a lot. So why not address it while I have your attention? Okay, so again, create fictional family members. Now, my final tip is the most important, and that is practice. I know everyone loves when I say practice because they always roll their eyes. They want something easier, okay? But then students ask me, Kathy, why are you so good at this? You can do this in just a couple of seconds and come up with 45-second answer that's so wonderful. How? Well, I have 11 years of TOEFL experience. That's 11 years of practicing almost every day with just the weekends off. Sometimes I work weekends. So I'm always doing these questions. And so I become like a TOEFL machine, like the TOEFL Terminator. So yes, it's practice. So find somebody to practice with. I match students up all the time. There's TOEFL groups on Facebook. Just post, hello, I want a speaking partner and what you're looking for. There's 34,000 people in my Facebook group at this time, and that's growing all the time. I'm sure someone will reach out to you and say, hey, me too. So finding that partner to practice with is going to be really helpful. Because the reality is, if I were in a busy city like LA, and I walked up to an English speaker on the street, and I said, excuse me, sir, excuse me, but do you like shopping alone or with a friend, and why? And put a microphone. That native speaker will say, I guess I like shopping with a friend. I mean, it's more fun and we can go and do things. I mean, they're going to give me an answer that would score a 1 or a 2. So what's the difference between that person and me? We're both native speakers. Well, I have 11 years of practice. Sorry to say, but there's no substitute for practice. It doesn't matter if you want to learn the guitar or you want to become a good speaker. You have to practice. Okay, so those are my quick tips for brainstorming. Hopefully you got a few ideas. If you have something that works better for you, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Please put it in the comments below. Hey, Kathy, why don't you try this with your students? It works for me. I'm open to all ideas and you'll be helping other students as well. So please feel free to comment below with your own ideas. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm making more content all the time. All right, hopefully this helped you. This is Kathy from House of TOEFL. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.